Jon Rahm left Augusta National Golf Club after the 2026 edition of the Masters tournament with a performance that fell far short of expectations. His T38 finish marked one of the most disappointing weeks of his career at a venue where he had previously thrived, including his memorable victory just 3 years earlier. For a player of Rahm's caliber, someone widely regarded as one of the most consistent forces in modern golf, the result was both surprising and sobering. In his own candid assessment following the tournament, Rahm admitted that significant changes were needed in his preparation and execution if he wanted to return to peak form. Yet, what followed in the days immediately after Augusta told a completely different story, one of resilience, adaptability, and elite competitive instinct. Rahm quickly silenced any doubts about his form by delivering a dominant performance at LIV Golf Mexico City, where he secured victory in emphatic fashion. Not only did he win, but he did so with remarkable authority, finishing 6 shots clear of the field and completing the tournament without a single bogey. It was a clinical display that highlighted both his mental toughness and his ability to recalibrate under pressure. Reflecting on the dramatic turnaround, Rahm himself expressed disbelief. He acknowledged that, given how poorly he felt he had played during the early stages of Masters Week, he could hardly have imagined producing such a commanding performance just days later. His comments underscored the unpredictable nature of professional golf, where momentum can shift rapidly and confidence can be restored almost overnight. This victory in Mexico City carried significance beyond the trophy itself. It marked Rahm's second win of the 2026 season and the 4th individual title of his LIV Golf career. More importantly, it propelled him back into the top 20 of the official World Golf Ranking, OWGR, representing a meteoric rise of more than 75 places in just a few months. For a player who had previously been vocal in criticizing the OWGR system, particularly its treatment of LIV golf events, this surge in the rankings served as a form of vindication. To fully appreciate the magnitude of Rahm's climb, it is essential to understand the context of his ranking trajectory over the past few years. At the conclusion of the 2023 season, Rahm was ranked number 3 in the world, having enjoyed one of the most successful campaigns of his career. He captured 4 tournament victories that year, including his triumph at the Masters, and appeared firmly entrenched among the game's elite. However, his decision to join LIV Golf introduced a new set of challenges, particularly with regard to the world ranking system. At the time, LIV events did not offer OWGR points, meaning that regardless of how well Rahm performed on the circuit, his ranking would inevitably decline. Without access to ranking points from his primary tour, his only opportunities to maintain or improve his standing came from appearances in major championships and a limited number of events on the DP World Tour. As a result, Rahm's ranking began to slide steadily. By early 2025, he had fallen outside the top 50 for the first time since 2017, a significant drop for someone who had been a fixture near the top of the rankings for years. The downward trend continued, and by February 2026, Rahm found himself ranked 97th in the world, a position that hardly reflected his true level of play. A turning point came on February 3rd, when LIV Golf received its first form of accreditation from the OWGR. While this development was welcomed by players on the tour, it came with notable limitations. Only the top 10 finishers in each event, typically featuring a 57-player field, would earn ranking points. Moreover, the number of points awarded for a victory was relatively modest. Winning at LIV event yielded approximately 23 points, a figure comparable to a win on the DP World Tour but significantly lower than the points awarded for a standard PGA Tour event. Rahm did not hesitate to voice his concerns about this structure, arguing that it placed LIV players at a disadvantage. He pointed out that limiting points to just 10 players per event was inconsistent with how other tours were treated and did not accurately reflect the depth of competition. Nevertheless, despite his criticisms, Rahm recognized that the new system still provided an opportunity, and he was determined to make the most of it. From that point onward, Rahm embarked on a steady ascent up the rankings, fueled by a series of strong performances. He began by finishing as runner-up at LIV Riyadh, a result that immediately boosted him 30 places to 67th in the world. He followed that with another second-place finish at LIV Adelaide, climbing further to 54th. These back-to-back performances demonstrated not only his consistency but also his ability to capitalize on the limited opportunities available to earn points. Importantly, Rahm's rise was not solely dependent on victories. Even without winning, his high finishes were enough to generate meaningful upward movement in the rankings. This consistency set the stage for a breakthrough moment in March at LIV Hong Kong, where Rahm delivered a spectacular performance. Closing with a brilliant 6 under 64, he secured victory at 23 under par, ending an 18-month drought without an individual win. That drought, in many ways, was a product of the unique environment of LIV Golf. With no cuts and, until recently, no ranking points at stake, the competitive dynamics differed from those of traditional tours. The absence of these elements arguably reduced the sense of urgency that often drives players to peak performance. Rahm's victory in Hong Kong, therefore, was not just a return to the winner's circle. It was a statement that he remained fully capable of dominating at the highest level. The win propelled him to 36th in the world rankings, and he continued to build momentum with subsequent strong finishes. A top 5 result in Singapore and a playoff appearance in South Africa further solidified his resurgence. Each performance added valuable points to his tally, steadily pushing him closer to the upper echelon of the rankings. By the time the 2026 Masters arrived, Rahm had firmly re-established himself as one of the most informed players in the world. In fact, he entered Augusta leading all male professionals in the strokes gained metric, narrowly ahead of Scottie Scheffler. This statistical dominance suggested that Rahm was playing at an exceptionally high level, making his struggles at Augusta all the more surprising. Throughout the tournament, Rahm's performance was uncharacteristically inconsistent. One of the most telling indicators of his difficulties was his greens in regulation percentage, which fell below 60% for the week. At a course like Augusta National, where precision iron play is crucial, this deficiency proved costly. As a result, Rahm was unable to contend and ultimately finished outside the top 35, leaving without earning any ranking points. Despite the disappointment of the Masters, Rahm's rapid rebound in Mexico City served as a powerful reminder of his resilience. It highlighted his ability to learn from setbacks, make swift adjustments, and return stronger than before. In a sport where mental fortitude is just as important as physical skill, this capacity for recovery is often what separates the good from the great. Rahm's journey over the past few months also sheds light on the evolving landscape of professional golf. The integration of LIV Golf into the world ranking system, albeit in a limited capacity, has introduced new dynamics that players must navigate. For someone like Rahm, who has experienced both the benefits and challenges of this system, his recent success represents not just a personal triumph but also a broader statement about the viability of competing at the highest level within this new framework. Looking ahead, Rahm's position in the top 20 of the world rankings places him firmly back among the elite. With major championships and other high-profile events on the horizon, he now has the opportunity to continue his ascent and potentially return to the very top of the game. If his recent performances are any indication, he is more than capable of doing so. In the end, Rahm's story is one of perseverance, adaptation, and unwavering belief in his abilities. From the disappointment of Augusta to the triumph in Mexico City, his journey encapsulates the highs and lows that define professional golf. And as he continues to navigate this ever-changing landscape, one thing remains clear: Jon Rahm is far from finished, and his pursuit of greatness is very much alive.